Hey, how we doing, man? I apologize for the late start here. We had a little technical error at the beginning of the show. Thank you very much for joining our program. And I wonder, like, just in the aggregate, Stephen, what do you see as the most likely scenario now for the pipe bomber as a operation, as a MAGA terrorist, as somebody who is working with the Capitol Police or for the Capitol Police? Do you have any further insights into all of the available evidence that is now out in the public?
Got a lot of stuff in that question there, Benny. And thank you very much for having me on this morning. No problem with the late start. When you talk about it being an operation, there's no doubt in my mind it's an operation. You look at the two pipe bombs, they're identical in construction. They're placed specifically, I think, for them to be identified and located ahead of time, to be a distraction, to divert my resources away from the Capitol at the most strategic time that we need them. There's nobody that wants to see this pipe bomber identified more than me. The timing couldn't have been worse for the impact it had on my security posture on the Hill. So I absolutely think it's an operation. Who's behind it? That's, still wait to be seen. I've seen, Steve Baker's report. I've seen the Tom Massey front cover letter that you just went over. For me, what this screams is what everybody's been saying. We want answers. We just would like to hear some answers. I'm not here to, as a Capitol Police chief, and you know me, Benny, I've always talked from fact. If I know information, I'm going to provide it to you. People want to know, you've identified somebody. It seems like it'd be fairly easy to come out and say, hey, this is the evidence that we have to support it. This is the evidence we have to refute it. Let's, take care of that and let's move on. And it gets concerning. It's just taking too long to do that. So I think, the more you wait, the longer people wait for answers, the more they fill those gaps with things in their head with, what's the operation? Who's doing it? Why was it planned?
Yes. So, okay, this is very interesting. Can you please talk me through the construction of these pipe bombs? Were they actual operable bombs? You started your statement here by saying they weren't.
Oh, I don't think I started my statement saying they weren't operable. I started my statement saying they were, I think, designed specifically to be detected. So when you look at them,
please explain what does that mean?
Yeah. So the analysis I've seen, one, they're built to be pipe bombs. You had pipe bombs going to have the cylinder, the carrying device, which was a galvanized steel pipe, which is often used in pipe bombs. The two end caps screwed on. You've got the wiring. You've got there you go. You've got the timing device. Was the timing device properly set? It's everything for if someone to look at it. It screams pipe bomb. It had not a full. Usually pipe bombs to be fully, if you want the most bang for the buck. Sorry, my terminology. You pack it with the black powder, and then you put the end caps on very carefully. This didn't seem to be packed with black powder, from what I understand the analysis. It had enough so a canine, something would trigger on it. So I think it was there specifically to be detected. I don't know, of what the viability of just how much of lethality it have if it actually exploded, but it was built, it was designed to work. If there was, I believe somebody's talked about there being a problem with the timer. Again, I've overseen bomb squads. I've never been a tech. I've never gone to Huntsville and been certified myself. But it has all the markings of a pipe bomb, something to distract and cause resources to be pulled to it. So absolutely.
So your contention is that it was designed in order to overtly scream, this is a bomb, find me, and then placed. Obviously, this isn't hiding. Whoever's putting this somewhere isn't hiding. This is the photo of the one behind the RNC. Mm-hmm. And this is in no way hiding. You could have hit it under the rat trap. You could have hit it behind the garbage bin. You could have put it behind the fencing there. This is placed just directly on the ground. The reason the timer is so strange, and the reason why people are saying, some have come on this program like Julie Kelly to talk about the inoperability of them, is that how does a pipe bomb get set on July 5th with a 60-minute timer to go off on July 6th, on January 6th at noon? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Again, that's some of the questions that people are looking to have answered. Was it actually set there and placed on the 5th? These are things that people want to know. You have the video of somebody walking around, somebody out there, scoping it, putting them down. People have said, well, maybe they came back and actually put them in place in the 6th with the timer. I agree. It's a very rudimentary timer system. The max amount of time it's going to give you is 60 minutes.
60 minutes.
Now that you look at
How's that?
Yeah, how do you do that on the 5th? So I tend to agree with you. There's still a lot of questions to be answered, but it'd be nice just to start, getting some information.
Since you were the Capitol Police chief at the time, and since you have been very public about saying that you believe that these pipe bombs were placed, whether they're operable or not, they look and have the feel of a bomb. They were designed to clearly signal this is a bomb. You say that they were placed in order to distract your officers and to deplete your resources. Can you explain that?
100% believe that. When you think about it, first pipe bomb is identified at 12:42 p.m. That's 11 minutes before the riot gets out of control on the West Front at 12:53. That couldn't have been a worse timing for that. We had sent resources over there, and it's not just bomb tech resources. We're sending personnel over there to evacuate the buildings, evacuate the RNC, the DNC. We have the Cannon House office building that faces. They have a whole side that faces the opening to the alley. That now we got to move resources and people out of there because it was occupied. So that's taken a significant amount of resources. And then we have the second pipe bomb that shows up. So as the chief of police, I'm in the command center. I'm seeing one pipe bomb. I'm seeing a second pipe bomb. What's going through my head? When's the third pipe bomb going to show up? We're waiting for a tertiary device to be out there. Anybody in the right mind would be thinking of it. So now we have people searching everywhere across the campus, seeing if we may have something else out there. So again, it's a cascading effect on the resources I have, taking resources, and I had limited resources on the perimeter. 273 officers on my perimeter. That's why I'd asked for National Guard on January 3rd, asked for National Guards repeating on January 6th, because I knew we were being depleted and we knew we were having problems on the West Front.
So when it comes to the theories that are available right now on the internet, based on the Blaze reporting and based on a number of other individuals independently sleuthing, there is a theory that a Capitol Police officer was engaged in the planting of these pipe bombs in a larger overall conspiracy. Can you speak to that, since you clearly know your officers and you know this agency and you were the police chief on that day?
So, I've read the Steve Baker report, gone through it. I've looked at it. Again, he provides some evidence why he believes it's that individual officer. Again, like I said, I try and speak from facts. You'd think that with the information he's providing, we'd be able to get that confirmation this is the person, or they'd be able to quickly come out and refute it. So for me, having been the head of the agency, I don't want to come, it's not my place to come in and say, I'm a pass judgment right up based on a press release or an article from a reporter. I want to see some facts. I want to see some facts from our law enforcement agencies, coming in and saying, hey, we support or we refute this information. This is why,
Yes.
provide the evidence. And I'm not the only one that's saying that. I think the American people deserve it.
I mean, it seems like a very easy thing to do, to just simply rule out certain individuals, simply state that there's no evidence here, or there is a lot of evidence here, but we haven't heard anything. And so what does that tell you?
Well, I agree. You have one individual suspect that's been identified at this point. It seems like it'd be easy to come in and say, hey, based on, with the time of day, where she was, anything like that, you'd be able to provide an alibi and, hey, case closed. Now we're going to focus our resources elsewhere. Right. And I think the longer you wait to get a statement about it, I think the more people begin to think, okay, hey, what's really going on here? So if it is the case and the officer's innocent, they deserve to be cleared as quickly as possible. And I would like to see some statement come out.
You have provided evidence for someone else who was clearly complicit, either wantonly or through incompetence or malevolence. I'm not sure, and I'd really love to find out Nancy Pelosi's role in January 6th. The evidence that you've provided is right here, pinned to the top of your X feed, that delineates every single time you called Nancy Pelosi for help on that day, and every single denied request from Nancy Pelosi's office. Denied. You would think, with pipe bombs being discovered and a riot at the Capitol and a breach of the Capitol and the National Guard situation, that you would be getting your answers immediately, and you'd be getting your calls picked up. But that wasn't the case. What does that tell you?
To make it even worse, think about it. I'm sitting here in my office at home, kind of where you see my wall behind me, the Capitol Police Board, which is who by law I have to go through to get that permission to bring in any resources, has liaisons sitting right behind me, watching everything I'm seeing up on the command center, up on the screens of the command center. I'm getting repeated denials. So I'm denied on January 3rd. I'm denied twice specifically on January 3rd. The Pentagon offers. So when they say President Trump offered 10,000 troops, I don't know how many offered, but I can tell you for a fact, the Pentagon called my office offering National Guard support. And by law, I had to turn it down because I hadn't been given authorization. And then on January 6th, we come under attack at 12:53. 12:58, I make my first call to Paul Irving, who's the House Sergeant at Arms, Speaker Pelosi's representative. And and what I get, I'm going to run it up the chain. Repeatedly denied. 9 more calls, 71 minutes until I'm finally approved. And if anybody doubts that's the case, ask yourself, why did Congress change the law to U.S. 1970 that required me to go through them 11 months later and now gives the chief authorization to make that call on his own? They've admitted the guilt. They just haven't come out and said, sorry, we're sorry what you went through.
I'm going to have 2 other members of Congress on the show today, but I'd love to get your take on this, Chief Sund. Should Nancy Pelosi be investigated? Should she be called in to Barry Loudermilk's committee? Do you have questions you would like to ask her about that day?
I think there's questions that need to be asked. I think the committee knows my questions that I would ask of her if given the opportunity. And yeah, I think as a member of Congress, absolutely she should answer questions. What concerns me is you look at the original January 6th Select Committee. Benny Thompson came out and stated specifically Speaker Pelosi's cell phones and testimony is off limits. If you want to do a full investigation, why are you going to make the Speaker of the House off limits? That's concerning. So I would honestly think that you'd want to bring in somebody like that to have them answer questions.
If you don't mind, would you elucidate for our audience? What would you ask Nancy Pelosi?
Well, a couple of key things. One, I'm calling her representative to the Capitol Police Board, Paul Irving. Did Paul Irving talk to her? How many times did he talk to her? Did he talk to her chief of staff? Did he talk to some of her senior advisors? What information was getting to her, and why couldn't I get an answer? That'd be number one. What information, what intelligence had she been given in advance of January 6th? There's now indisputable fact that General Mark Milley had been regularly in contact with Speaker Pelosi. What information did Mark Milley provide Speaker Pelosi in advance? These are some questions that I'd love to know the answer to.
Final question for you, Chief Sund. This is also breaking news out of the committee demanding that Kamala Harris's Secret Service come in and answer questions about their behavior that day, which has struck many as exceedingly odd. Now, we have the clips and we have the footage, so we'll pop it up. But it's very strange that Kamala Harris's Secret Service, after being notified that there was a pipe bomb within feet of Kamala Harris, didn't do anything. In fact, they finished their lunches in their cars. They allowed children to walk by. They allowed man walking his dog, trains to run. It's very peculiar behavior for a Secret Service to allow these kind of things to have. There was no urgency at all. It's very strange. Do you have any explanation for this as to why they would be so nonchalant?
Yeah, so I must agree with you. It is very, very concerning. So before I became Capitol Police Chief, I was with DC Police for a little over 25 years, and I ran the special operation for 5 of those years. The marked MPD car that you see there was one of, those were my officers. I've handled hundreds of suspicious packages. I've handled hundreds of presidential details, either POTUS, Vice POTUS. And I can tell you that response is very concerning. I'd love to know, one, what did the individual say to the officer? Because you see him walk up to the side of the marked police car, say something to the officer. The officer nonchalantly says, "Hey, go around the other side, tell the Secret Service officer, agent." He walks around and tells, I'd love to hear, did he say, "Hey, it looks like you guys have a pipe bomb over there"? Because if that's the case, that is way outside of protocol. Immediately, let me tell you, you go, you go to Pucker Factory, you're out there, you're trying to find out what's going on, you're setting up a perimeter, you're pushing people out. It's a set of protocols that go on, and then you find out, is your protectee, where are they in the building? Are they on that side of the building? You move them to protection really quickly. You're not seeing that. You're not seeing no sense of urgency. And that, I agree with you. That is concerning, and that is not how we play and we practice. for handling suspicious devices on dignitary details.
Before you go, just in closing, based on the amount of focus on this, new evidence, new whistleblowers, in action, the FBI released 8 minutes of brand new footage and video. Apparently, there's much more video that hasn't been released of the pipe bomber for some inexplicable reason. I don't know why. What is your take? What is your final gut take, sir? Since you've served for decades, correct, in the Capitol Police or in uniformed police, what is your final take? What does your gut say about what was happening that night? And that
so,
day?
well, so my gut is, regardless if it's this individual or another, we were 58 months into this since this occurred. We need to hunker down, and we need to, if we got to start this investigation from square one, let's start it from square one. Let's get some answers. You're just, you're able to identify so many people across we're on the hill, down in the hill that day, and go after them, but you can't find this one person who you seem to have a fair amount of information on. It raised a lot of concerns, and I think the quicker they can get answers, they can alleviate some of these concerns and some of these conspiracy theories that people may be coming up with, or let's just get to the bottom of this. I have a hard time believing we can't identify this person. So hopefully they can, and hopefully this reinvigorates all this attention, Benny. I hope it just reinvigorates the people that need to be doing this investigation to get out there and properly do it.
Yes, we'd love to see it. We'd love to see a lot of things, but this was a particularly evil and dark day, and it'd be nice to close the chapter on what actually happened. Thank God for you. Chief Stephen Sund, you can follow him right here. He's had nearly 100,000 subscribers on X. He's a man that deserves his pension. He deserves to have an honorable place in the Trump administration. I'm going to advocate for that, Chief, and we'd love to see you back in action. You should be the viceroy of Washington, D.C. In a new and clean and crisp city. We'd be in favor of that. Godspeed, sir.
Thank you very much, Benny. Godspeed to you too.
All right.